Welcome back. This is Craving More, a CrossFit Crave podcast where we find motivation through obstacles, resistance, and everyday life with your co-hosts, Matt and CJ. Today, we have a very special guest, Nick Fiorilli, who is the co-owner of CrossFit 1808 in Mount Vernon, Ohio.
Yeah, so a little bit about Nick. He has been involved with fitness his entire life. He was a three-sport athlete in high school and went on to play Division III baseball for Washington and Jefferson College in Washington, Pennsylvania. While at W&J, Nick earned a spot as a starting shortstop for the Presidents and held that position for all 4 years. Nick discovered CrossFit in 2010 and officially joined CrossFit affiliate in 2012, CrossFit Crave. It was through CrossFit that Nick truly discovered the meaning of fitness and what the community could do in terms of training. Nick cares about helping people get healthier and achieve their goals. He has a passion for coaching and loves watching people build confidence through the avenue of fitness.
Nick and his wife, Katie, live in Mount Vernon and have a little baby boy. Nick also works part-time as an attorney, advising and consulting in the areas of small business within the fitness industry. He has recently finished the Precision Nutrition Certification, which we dove into today. So with that, let's get into it. Welcome, Nick.
Thanks for having me. Good.
You doing well?
Yeah. I'm really sore after yesterday's, marathon of a workout.
Longest workout
I've ever done outside of a competition. And I've been doing CrossFit for almost 10 years now, so that's saying something. And that was a partner. I mean, it was a partner workout, but it's still individual because you did all the stuff.
You're just suffering along.
You had a little
somebody
buddy to suffer by.
People always ask me, am I always going to be this sore? And I'm like, no, eventually your body gets used to it. And that's kind of a lie because I'm more sore today than I've been in a while.
Yeah.
You just learned, I guess, to challenge yourself and push yourself a little bit more.
Exactly. Well, you get stronger, so then you lift more weight, and the same stimulus.
The soreness changes, right?
It does. It does. Or you just get used to it, and you're like, this is how it's going to be.
Yeah. Your body adapts and move on from there.
Yeah, but it was a good workout, which left me pretty hungry the rest of the day, so I was eating a lot of food.
Perfect Thanksgiving workout.
It was.
Perfect. Well, that's cool. We're going to talk about nutrition today, right? So that's a great segue.
The day after Thanksgiving.
That's right.
So we can regret everything we've done.
That's right. Can I go back from yesterday, just erase and do it again? Perfect. Nick, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and kind of where you're at today?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. Was a three-sport athlete in high school, although I ended up quitting basketball in my sophomore year, kept with baseball and football. And then went off to college, played college baseball for all 4 years, got lucky enough to get into a program that was really kind of bad to start, but the coach was a young coach, really excited to get things going with the program, and we ended up turning the program around, and I got to start all 4 years and develop some of the best relationships that I have in my life with the guys that I played with. And we, till this day, we graduated in 2007, so it's been 12 years since graduating, and we talk almost every day, which is kind of unique, I think. But after college, hit a little rough patch. You have that weird transition where you graduate and you go from like this world of kind of living in a bubble to now all of a sudden things are real. And so had a car payment, had rent to pay, luckily had a job.
Here comes the bills.
But here comes all the bills, right? And you're going to spend that money pretty quickly and realize you're broke fast.
Yeah.
But baseball stopped. Like I didn't really work out as much, but I still ate like an idiot for the most part, and I started packing on some weight pretty easily, and I didn't even notice it. It took like heading home to a Thanksgiving dinner, I think, once, and my family kind of jokingly made fun of me, like, man, you're like getting a little heavy kind of thing. That's not what they really said, but I was like,
that's what you took.
I mean, it was like it was a
slap,
a wake up call. It was. Like my family saying stuff. What do other people think? So I honestly went back, joined like a Globo gym that was like right around the corner from me. Started working out again and getting into it, and that was like 2008. And then later that same gym, I ended up getting a part-time job there later on. So I actually worked 3 jobs. I had a full-time job, part-time job working at Subway making sandwiches.
Sure.
And then a part-time job working at the gym at the front desk. Doing stuff there. And part of the reasons I wanted that job, free membership at the gym, pretty much free food at Subway. So that was a way to cut back on some expenses. And I really didn't have much of a life, as a 24-year-old living in Columbus, Ohio.
Right.
But that didn't last long. I started to develop some really good habits in terms of eating and working out, like pretty religiously. And then I decided to quit my job and head back to school to get my law degree at Ohio Northern, which was challenging for sure.
No doubt.
One of the hardest things that I've ever done from an academic standpoint. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, and school was never really, didn't come easy to me. So like I was the guy that had to be in the library, for hours on hours, just reading and taking notes and doing things like that to be, mediocre for the most part. But I actually graduated law school with a higher GPA than I did undergrad, just because my focus was there.
What was your undergrad in?
Business administration.
Okay.
So pretty generic for the most part. Didn't really learn much. Couldn't tell you what I take away from that.
Right.
And that's ironic because I'm a business owner. And so I feel like you learn more by just doing. We were talking about that before. Just by jumping in. Only books will tell you so much.
Yeah.
But went to law school. Wanted to be in the business realm a little bit more. And so my focus was on that. And then got a job. Luckily, again, I've kind of gotten lucky getting jobs kind of right out of school. Through somebody here. Derek had a cousin that is from the Mount Vernon area, and he said he was looking for a new attorney to bring onto the firm. And this was back in 2014. And so I went and interviewed there and got hired. I spent just about almost 3 years at the firm, and then decided to leave 2 summers ago. Took on the gym pretty much full time. Still do a little bit of law practice. Have helped you guys out a little bit on Crave side of things, and some other things too. So, but my CrossFit journey started here at CrossFit Crave, 2000 summer of 2012.
So how did you find? I mean, obviously you started coming here, but was it like I'm just looking for a local gym, or how did the whole CrossFit?
So when I was working at that Global Gym in Columbus, a lot of the trainers would be. At the time, CrossFit was like 2010, 2011, so it wasn't like
super
that popular at all,
right?
right? So a lot of the trainers were pulling up CrossFit.com and just doing workouts on main site. And so I would pull it up too, and I would definitely skip over things I didn't know. Like, I'm not doing this. Like, what is a snatch? What is this crazy stuff?
Yeah.
But I would do things. I was kind of being biased in my workouts, like do things I knew what they were, and I thought I'd be good at.
Yeah.
So I started that way, and then kind of kept on doing that through as I left there and went back to law school. Started doing things in the gym at ONU. And then my final year of law school, I actually lived with my in-laws in Minster and just made the commute to ONU for the entire year. I actually lived there for about 2 years. And so I Googled CrossFit gym, and this was the closest one.
There you go.
Still is the closest one. I guess there's one in Sydney now, but
yeah,
this was the closest one. Yeah. And so I emailed. Ashley got back to me right away. I came out for like a week and tried it out.
Yeah.
And then I actually went on vacation for like a week, and then I came back and I was like, Ashley, sign me up. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then
the rest is history.
That's it. That was 2012. That was my first time actually joining the gym, getting the experience of like what it's like in a class and how to really be pushed in a workout.
Yeah.
Totally different. Absolutely loved it. And have been doing it since.
That's
inspired me to take that to Mount Vernon, open our own gym there. We've been in business for 5 years. We just hit our 5-year mark in August and had a 5-year anniversary or a 5-year birthday party, if you will.
Yeah.
And it was great.
That's cool. So it's you, yourself, your wife?
Yeah, and Vinny, and my brother Vinny. Yep.
Yeah.
We've been at it for 5 years. We all started off with full-time jobs, and it was kind of like our side thing. But as you know,
sure,
it's a lot of hours, right?
It's tough.
There's so much that goes into it that I don't think people realize.
That's right.
I'm not saying we're doing the best job at it, but I think we do a pretty good job at trying to manage getting people fit, doing it in the right way, and staying true to what CrossFit is.
Yeah. So you're a coach, you're a business owner, and a father.
And an attorney.
And an attorney.
And a husband.
And a nutrition coach.
Yeah.
Superman.
No, that's not. I mean, it's really, we put it that way. It gets hard to manage time.
Yeah.
Making sure that I spend enough time with my family. I feel bad for my kid most days because if I have personal training clients at the gym, it's like 3:30. I'm usually there till 7:30, 8 o'clock. And he's, thankfully he's a good tempered kid. Like he sits there, he watches people. He's definitely taking a lot in. But he does have his moments where he's like, get me out of this stroller. I want to run around. I want to pick up kettlebells. I want to hang on the rings.
Yeah.
So
I think that's key, though. I think as your kids age, they'll see that work ethic, the amount of time you spent, putting into life so they can have life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
leading by
realistically.
example.
That's
I mean, it's amazing how much kids actually absorb and will replicate what we're doing. Like I've never taught him how to pick up a kettlebell. He just saw it on the floor one time and went up and deadlifted it up. And hanging on the rings, he just goes up to them, starts grabbing them. And for as small as his hands are and as thick as those rings are, it's amazing how like strong these kids can be. And he's only 16, 17 months old. Yeah.
I think ultimately it's the goal too of from a business ownership perspective is you want to be able to leave your kids something, right? Like my dad's always tried to give me more than he ever had and we ever had when I was little. And that's what we're trying to do for our kids. Right, wrong, or indifferent, we all make mistakes, but we're trying to give our children the benefit of, hey, here's what hard work can do for you, and let's give you something like this CrossFit facility, right? Eventually, whether it's little Dylan or whether it's Tyler, any one of the kids could come in and say, hey, when it's time to retire and move on, this is something that I want them to be able to say, this is yours, right?
Yeah.
And they see that. That's the ultimate goal, I think.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I just want to do better by him.
Yeah.
Make sure that, one, he does understand the value of hard work, but two, making sure that me and my wife, do our best to set him up to be successful. Obviously, he has to take some ownership in that too.
Sure.
I'm just not going to hand him everything.
Yeah.
I don't learn that way.
Yeah.
But that's right. I mean, that's what we're doing. That's what we're living for right now. And it's been so much fun. I mean, it's kind of amazing. You go like, why didn't we have a kid earlier?
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of like, well, it's not the right timing. Is there ever a right time? Just
for anything.
Yeah.
Never a right time.
Yeah. You could see that on both sides. We had kids really, really early. But now, that my wife and I are both 45 and our kids are established and they're out of school and it's like, okay, we can enjoy different things with them at a different time in life, But cool. Well, we're here really to talk about nutrition, right? We wanted to kind of get a little bit of background in yourself. The nutrition part of it is a super important part of CrossFit, and it's an important part of our lives in general and how we handle that. Obviously, obesity in the world today is rampant, and we're trying to fix that, slowly but surely. That's our goal. So you went to school, and you went back to school, and then you went to school again, so to speak, with nutrition. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I've done two different nutrition, I'll say, certifications. One of them, actually, my in-laws purchased as a Christmas gift, I think 2 years ago, and that was with the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. That was like going back to school. Like there was an actual curriculum. You had to stay on top of it week to week, because if you fell behind, you were just not going to finish the program. And because it was a gift and stuff like that, I took it way more serious than if I was doing it on my own.
Sure.
So it helped me manage time a little bit more to go through that and learn a lot in the process. And then after that, I came across Precision Nutrition, which, if there's anything that you want to know in terms of nutrition, Google it and put Precision Nutrition after it. They have an article on it, without a doubt. There's an article. They usually do. It's written by their PhDs or other doctors on staff, and it's likely looking at a study that was done and then giving their kind of opinion on what the study, what the result of the study was, whether it was kind of biased or something like that, or it's just basically research from their own side of things or through experience. So it's really, cool. Really credible information, because I know there's a lot of stuff on nutrition out there that you're like, is this legit kind of thing? So it can be confusing, but if I really trust, you got to trust the sources that you're continually going to.
Precision Nutrition is also now it's a CrossFit preferred course.
It is,
right? So they changed from the SMEs, the old school CrossFit, to a preferred course, and it's one of those now CrossFit preferred courses. I'm not sure how many credits it gives you. Each one of those courses has a continuing education credit. Like we just took the anatomy. It's got 5 CEUs to it, so gives you credit for coaches that are trying to continue.
I mean, that just shows how credible that program is.
That's right.
Like CrossFit is partnering with someone like that where you can earn CEU credits if you have your CrossFit level 3, because you need to maintain credits to maintain your certification there.
Right.
So it just shows how beneficial that partnership is and how credible that precision nutrition is.
Well, that's really crazy, because that pyramid that that CrossFit has, the bottom black, I have it on my shirt.
Yeah, nutrition, right?
Is nutrition.
That's right.
So if they're going to reach to precision nutrition,
well, because it's how common is it to see like somebody come in here busting their butt in the gym and working hard, but really not getting the results that they're after. And so it goes back to what's on the bottom of that pyramid, your nutrition, and what's going on there. The slightest little changes can make the biggest differences. So stop putting in so much work here. Let's focus maybe your efforts somewhere else, like your food intake and things like that. But most people don't know where to start. So I really think like hiring a coach is probably something that everybody should do at some point to maybe gain a little bit more knowledge and have that support and guidance that maybe they're lacking.
Well, like we said, or you said, the slightest change can make a big difference, right? And to hire a coach, that's what we did at our gym.
Yeah, the macro challenge.
Yeah,
we'll dive into that. One of the themes that I've heard used is you can ruin hours of time in the gym by minutes in the kitchen. Right, so
or lack of minutes in the kitchen, like just not being there at all, right?
Yeah,
so
the minutes that you choose in the kitchen, you can ruin hours of time in the gym because of that.
Yeah,
that's crazy to think about.
So we started out here at CrossFit with going to an expert on, hey, let's run a challenge. We've done many challenges over the course of the 10 years that we've been here, whether they were paleo or a whole bunch of different ones, right? So we said, hey, let's get with an expert. Somebody that's trained.
Let's not use the word expert.
Okay, let's get somebody,
that's a little.
Let's get with somebody that's trained and understands, nutrition better than myself and kind of the lay person, so to speak. So we went with Nick to say, hey, create a challenge. You created the macro challenge for us here. We had athletes that jumped in, and here we are. So how did that go?
Well, to start, it went better. I mean, I didn't know what my expectations were going into it because, one, I'd never done anything like this before. So I really created it from scratch. I had some ideas that I saw from other people, but had no idea how I was going to really implement it. So I really created this thing from scratch, and I was like, how is this going to go? Is it going to be more time consuming than I think? Which it was about right. It was normal. But what it was an 8-week challenge where people signed up to follow a macronutrient based, we'll say, diet in a way. And what that means is, okay, from a nutrition standpoint, if weight loss or weight gain is a goal, all right, the one thing that matters most is just total calorie intake. And so it's just like, how many calories are in this O2 that we're drinking, or in the food that we're about to eat, and just becoming more aware of how much we should be eating on a daily basis. Where those calories come from are the macronutrients, our proteins, our carbs, and our fats. So the challenge is set up in a way that, okay, this person signs up, they give me some information based on their history of dieting and their profile, and on my side, it's setting a total caloric intake that I want this person to reach based on certain macronutrients that they're trying to hit. So X amount of protein, X amount of carbs, X amount of fat on a daily basis. And so the goal was, okay, each of these people get their own set of, individually based macronutrients, and their goal is to just be as consistent as possible day to day following those. And that's something that's completely out of my control, which is always a concern as a coach. Like, we can only do so much. Right. A lot of it has to be on, the individuals participating to take ownership and be intentional about what they're doing, especially if you're signing up for a challenge. Take it serious and do it, right? And people did a great job at it. I went back and forth whether it should be 6 weeks or 8 weeks, because you don't want to lose the attention of people, like, if it's too long. But if it's so short, how much progress can people really make in a short period? So I decided on 8 weeks, figuring, okay, the first 2 weeks are probably going to be a pretty big adjustment period for most of these people, because from what I gathered, no one really had any history of tracking food in this fashion. Right. So I figured at least 2 weeks to probably adjust to figuring out how do I eat this amount of food and be consistent with it, which was, I think, a perfect, good trial period for people, because then they started to really dial things in by that week 3, week 4, and from there on out, it was pretty simple. So it was, we had great success with it. You know, 14 people signed up, 11 really saw it all the way through. Combined total weight loss in the 8 weeks was 94 pounds, which was pretty awesome. I mean, that's averaging about 8 to 9 pounds per person. Which in weight loss world, you know, 1 to 2 pounds a week is ideal. Some of the larger losses were 14 pounds. You know, Becky, 14 pounds in 8 weeks is amazing. Steve Harris at 14 pounds in 8 weeks was amazing. And then Shirley Gross, who won the challenge overall, you know, she lost 11 pounds in 8 weeks. And, you know why she did that? Her last 4 weeks, we based everything on points, right? So did you hit your macros on a daily basis? Did you work out on that day? And did you do the daily habit that we incorporated? Last 4 weeks, from a point standpoint, she was perfect. Like, and that propelled her into the first place spot to win the challenge. So, I mean, it went really well, I think, from my end, and from the feedback from the participants has been great.
Really good.
When did she do that? Was she in Japan for the last week?
No, she it ended just then.
Too?
It finished, and then she went. And she left. That's correct.
So like, just add a little bit more to it. So like, it's different than what you guys have maybe done in the past in terms of like paleo or any other thing like that. This was a kind of, okay, hit your macronutrients. There's no foods that are off limits here. All right, you can eat whatever you want. Now, obviously, I want to promote the highest quality foods. But you don't have to feel as restricted. Like, if you want to have pizza on a certain day, you can make pizza work within your macronutrients. You got a ton of food to eat, so plan it out, make it work. You want to fit some alcohol in there. You know, I'm not encouraging it a ton, but you know, we all have lives and stress, and sometimes just that beer, glass of wine, just tastes good. So that was one thing that was really different, I think, for people.
I agree, and I that's a great comment, that alcohol, because Shirley and I had this conversation. She's like, hey, my go-to is one glass of wine at night, 1 glass of wine. And I think one of the questions early on was, well, yeah, you can have that, but do you really need it? And I think that's a conversation that you two had. And she's like, I'll try. And now that she doesn't do that, it was a complete change for her. And she's like, yeah, you know, I feel better because I'm eating better, and I don't need that to relax and unwind. It's not like I get there anymore. So that's an interesting,
that's cool.
Comment that she made.
Yeah, you know, like nutrition, you know, it's information. Like, food is information, and it's emotional. Like, so the question for Shirley was like, okay, why are you really having that glass of wine at night? Like, what is driving that? Do you really need it? No, we don't really need it. So I think once people can actually sit back, look at the decisions that they're making, and ask why, they can really start to understand more about the things they're doing. And after a while, like, she just experimented. Okay, I'm not going to do it. And now all of a sudden, she's not doing it and not missing it either. I have an individual client, same thing. Always had a glass or 2 of wine at night, and I'm like, Vicky, why are you doing this? What's driving this? You know, stress at work, and just, you know, 2 younger kids, just stress, right? And so that's her way of calming down, but wasn't really helping her long term in terms of the goal she wanted to meet. So we slowly but surely had to just kind of cut that out, and now she doesn't do it. Her taste buds have changed. She doesn't crave the sweet things that she used to. I mean, cool. Things will change, man. I just think, like, you think, like, right away it's so hard to do, but once you start doing it and get in the habit and that routine, you'd be surprised how quickly things can go the other way for the better.
So you stop craving all the sweet things, and
I mean, the more you eat those sweet things, the more you want them. I know it's tough, it's challenging, because they're usually always around us, and that temptation is just easy to give into, especially if you're surrounded by other people. But your taste buds will change over time by eliminating those things.
Crazy.
Definitely. A lot of today's conversation, right, is going to be very question driven, because that's kind of where nutrition is at. So I'd like to dive into some of those questions now, if you don't mind. But one of the first ones I kind of wanted to bring up is, I'm sure once you start talking with someone about nutrition, there's got to be the biggest common mistake or mistakes. There's got to be a couple. Do you see that any that stick out that are like, yeah, most people have this misconception about what they eat on a daily basis, or is it everyone kind of a little different? What do you?
Um, I mean, I think everybody's a little bit different, but I think maybe from the biggest mistake standpoint is people. It goes back to this emotion with the food. Like they have this mindset or view of foods being good versus bad. I mean, in a way that makes sense, right? Like, I eat pizza. This is bad. I'm not doing a good thing for myself. But if we can change that mindset to be like, I can make this work and create balance in my life. One, you're going to feel much better about yourself and knowing that I don't have to restrict myself from these things that society has, I think, just labeled as bad foods versus good. And so can we change our mindset with the approach to nutrition? We don't need to be restrictive. Like, being restrictive usually leads to big rebounds.
Sure.
And either probably more, like, you're gaining your weight back and then some.
Yeah.
So like there's a ton of really great sources out there for people to follow for things like this, but it really starts with our own approach and our mindset when it comes to the food that we and the choices that we make. You know, Ben Bergeron on his podcast Chasing Excellence talks about the 5 things that we have absolute control over, and it's true. And that's our nutrition, our exercise, our recovery, our sleep, and our mindset. And if you let any of those kind of fall off, they likely have this snowball effect into the other ones, and it becomes this like dangerous place to be from a mental standpoint. So if you can work on controlling those 5 things, the mistakes with the nutrition will probably correct themselves because you're just going to be in a better space mentally and focused really on those things that you have complete control over versus like things that happen to you, which you have no control over, but your mindset and how you respond to those things are totally different. You have control over those things. So getting back to the real question is, what are the mistakes that people making? Not hiring a coach, like Googling things on the internet and taking that as the Bible, right? Yeah. That's, probably a bad place to be. Right. Watching documentaries on Netflix that are called The Game Changers, probably a bad place to make your nutrition choices off of. Yep. Do your own research. And if you're not sure, reach out to somebody that you trust that can maybe help you.
That has a background that can help.
Yeah. That's a great place to start because you can get lost in this world of, well, should I be doing keto? Should I be doing paleo? Should I be doing this and that? And work with a coach that can help guide you in that stuff. Yeah. A good coach will help guide you and educate you and get you to a place where you are in a very comfortable with the foods that you're eating and the choices that you're making.
Yeah, agree. I love the comparison between what you just said there in a standard CrossFit class. If I go to a 24-hour gym, I'm completely on my own. What am I going to do that day? How am I going to do it? So I'm Googling something, right? And I'll do backs and buys today because that's what the internet says I should do. You come into a CrossFit environment, very, very similar to a nutrition coaching environment. It's the whiteboard. Tell me what I need to be doing, or at least help me get there. Yeah. We're going to teach you what the warm-up is. We're going to show you what the workout is. And we're going to help you get through it. Same thing with coaching nutrition, correct?
Yeah. It's a great comparison. People just need that guidance. They want it, and they should seek it out because otherwise they're just feeling lost and maybe just kind of spinning circles, going around circles, and end up in that yo-yo dieting phase, where they're trying this, don't really see success, so then they quit, and then whereas a coach would probably step in and be like, okay, this isn't working, so we're not going to quit, we're just going to make an adjustment and go and do this and see if it works, versus just completely quitting altogether.
Let's change a lifestyle, not a diet
exactly
style.
And that's I think a big thing is people don't want to pay for it or whatever, but in the long run I think you're going to end up spending so much more money through just trying different things or through your hospital bills when you're out of
just like medications, diabetes is on the rise too, so to manage that,
just make it right now, fix it for life.
Yeah, it is a lifestyle change. So I don't like to use the word diet a lot. It's just like a macronutrient is not a base approach, it's not a diet, it's just an approach to way of eating. Because the foods that you eat can be anything, just as long as they fit within this total macronutrient spectrum,
Yep.
where calories are being controlled. Again, total calories at the end of the day is all kind of that matters. How we get to those calories are based on the macronutrients that we eat, and that can determine body composition and what that looks like too. Like if I just eat all my calories from baked potatoes, all right, not going to be a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, because we're going to be missing out on the other valuable nutrients from like protein from good protein sources and the micronutrients and vitamins that we'd get from fruits and vegetables. So like those kind of extremes are, if you want to experiment with them, great. But
short-term expectate,
short term. But don't think of that as a long-term solution. We're trying to, when I work with clients, I'm trying to find something that's going to work with them so that when our relationship ends, they can continue on with a sustainable approach for the rest of their life.
That's perfect. So what does sustainable look like? So we're done with the challenge, right? And we're thinking about, hey, we want to do our next challenge first part of the year, and we'll work on that together. But now, how do I sustain the information that I just picked up from you over the course of the last 8 weeks? What do I do now?
Good. That's a great question, because in that 8-week challenge, food is being strategically restricted to eventually continue the weight loss or fat loss phase through the 8 weeks. So by the week 8, people are on what I would consider pretty low calorie kind of diets, and we cannot live there forever.
Right.
We shouldn't. Our bodies are meant to be nourished, and to nourish them, we need to eat. So at that point, if you've hit your goal in a weight loss standpoint, great. Now we have to look to basically reverse diet out of that and get our calories back up to a good maintenance phase where we can we're trying to maintain the results that we got. So if we just go from low calorie and then all of a sudden to this high calorie, you're probably going to rebound pretty quickly. So it needs to be done, and it's not perfect. Okay. The macronutrients and all this stuff isn't perfect. It's just, let's follow something, be consistent, but can we reverse diet out of that little by little, adding food back in, and get to a point back to where maintenance is where we want to be for a while. So our bodies can then settle back in there. And if weight loss, if you still have further goals, then we can maybe do another 8-12 week, sort of weight loss phase again. But weight loss just isn't going to happen all the time, for everybody.
That's right.
And
you don't want it to, because you don't want to continuously lose weight, because now you're deteriorating good muscle form and
Yeah, you could be. And in order to do that, you still have to create this calorie deficit. So you have to keep reducing calories to continue that weight loss going.
Yeah.
And we were talking earlier, like, that's not a good thing. Our bodies don't want to be there for a very long time. They can handle a lot, but they don't want to be in this low calorie deficit all the time. And so that can affect things, especially with females and guys too, like from the hormonal side. If we are severely restricting calories, restricting carbohydrates, that will affect, that can affect, not will, but it can affect the thyroid, testosterone production. And when those things start getting out of whack, weight loss becomes a little bit more tricky. So I have clients that have thyroid issues and have had them for a while. So try to work around that. As a coach, we don't really learn about that stuff in precision nutrition and all that stuff. You learn about it by taking on clients and figuring out, okay, these are the medications this person is on. This is their history of dieting, and okay, this gives me a lot of good information to work with going forward. All right, where do we start? The food. Can we start you at X amount of calories and start to maybe build you back up because you've been low calorie dieting for years and years and years, which just gonna metabolically slow your metabolism down and make just weight loss and other things a little bit more challenging.
So that's a question I had too. In the challenge that we did you have, was it a problem for people that like they weren't eating enough?
Absolutely.
Was that
everybody that started out week 1? They were like, how am I going to eat all this food? Because they were coming from backgrounds of
like, I'm trying to lose weight.
Not how am I supposed to lose weight eating all this food? And they'll be the first ones to tell you that they started losing weight eating more food.
Higher volume of good food, right?
Exactly. And I think Jenny Snyder was a perfect example of this. She had probably one of the highest carbohydrate intakes, and she was coming from a background of like no carbs at all.
Yeah.
And she didn't gain any weight. Her calories were much higher too overall, and her carbohydrates were higher too.
Mhm.
But she didn't gain. I mean, she
Right.
lost weight over the
Yeah.
8 weeks.
Yeah. And she said she
And
felt
she
great.
felt better, right?
Yeah.
And she felt better.
Yeah.
So, that's where I think if people, again, going back to the mistakes people make, they get to that mindset of carbs are bad, eating too much food is bad. Maybe to an extent, but if you're in here working out 3 to 5 days a week, busting your butt, you need to eat food to build muscle and recover properly.
Yeah.
So I think that's where people, in that mindset, hey, what do you have to lose by eating more food? Let's try to creep this food up. The more you can eat and maintain your weight, the better. Because then we can go from, okay, I'm eating 2,500 calories and maintaining my weight, and then I'm going to reduce calories to initiate a weight loss phase, and I'm still eating 2,000 calories and losing weight. Like, me, like, that's where you want to be versus like I'm eating 1,200 to 1,100 calories.
I'm tired all the time.
I'm feeling hungry, just worn down. And for some people, pushing the limits might have to get to that point. But I cringe when I see total calories that low.
So like sustained exercise, not that. Is that what Glassman
Yeah, that's what Glassman says, right? So, yeah, like getting people back to, now it's kind of bridging that gap of, okay, we did this weight loss thing. Now we need to get you back to maintenance. Yeah. And it's working with a coach. Again, I'm going to keep saying that is really advisable because most people don't know how to do that correctly. And so what they do is, instead of doing that, they just stay at the low calorie amount and stay there and stay there and stay there. And eventually it's not going to work anymore. And then they're like scared to eat more food because they're going to gain that weight back.
Right.
That's a very big common thing. So working with a coach that's experienced enough to know how to get them back there in a good manner is ideal. Yeah.
I think a problem too is, like, I know I've seen a couple of like news articles and stuff that will say, I don't know, it'll say something where it's just like the baked potato diet or something, but then you go look like online and look at the study that they were referring to or something, and it would be like they took 2 sentences out of that whole thing, and like, it's not even, so they said this study said that, or these scientists said that, and it's not even, so like getting a coach would be like who actually knows what's up and can read through the studies or whatever.
Again, biggest thing that matters, total calorie intake, and then where those calories are coming from. There was the guy from Lent, like a couple of years ago in Columbus, only drank beer during Lent and lost weight. How is that possible, right? Well, you can only drink so much beer, and so his total calories were just down, so he lost weight. Yeah. Does that make that diet or what he did a good thing? No, it's stupid, right?
That's right.
Stupid. So like it really just proves the calorie in, calorie out, theory even more. Like, still at the end of the day, I mean, it's not that black and white, but it can be. It's still this energy coming in versus energy going out. And I mean, if all these things are getting lined up, and if weight loss isn't happening, then we look at more things like, hey, what's blood work like, thyroid issue, maybe
medically what's going on.
Yeah, don't turn to all these supplements things. Let's go to, and we can get to that in a second. Let's look at, are we following the basics first of consistent food, enough food, good exercise, is your sleep good, and how are you managing stress? Like those things, if you're not dialing those things in, then don't turn to these like extreme type things, because those extreme type things are not sustainable long term. Right. They may get you quick results, but those results aren't going to last because you're going to go back to what you normally do. Right. You can't sustain those extreme things for a long period.
It's just chasing that pill that's going to fix everything.
Yeah, there is no magic pill. If somebody finds it, please let me know, because then we'll be millionaires.
Yeah, exactly.
Billionaires.
That's right.
It doesn't have. It doesn't exist.
The perfect supplement. That's a good segue into that supplement conversation, right? Because supplement is exactly that. You think about, I'm going to supplement something because I'm lacking it in my normal food. So I'm supplementing protein because I don't get enough protein. But you can't supplement your life away, right?
Yeah, I mean, some people try.
Yeah,
it's not a good approach.
That's right.
We see
it with kids, junior high through high school. They're constantly, I can't eat, I can't gain enough weight. When they really look at how much they eat versus their activity, it's
not enough.
It's not.
No.
It's probably a quarter of what they should be intaking. Yeah. Especially as their body grows. There's hormones that's happening. So there's more going on there than a 45-year-old athlete.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of segueing into like, okay, what do athletes like junior junior and high school athletes, looking to mainly gain weight. Not many of them are looking to lose weight. They're trying to gain weight, get stronger, to be better, in a sport or something like that. And you said it, they got to eat. Man, they have to eat. I'm working specifically with a kid right now. He just graduated high school. He's a freshman at the NAS. He's playing baseball, and we've been trying to get him to gain weight. He's a hard gainer. Eating around 4,000, 4,500 calories a day, trying to get that in. It's a lot of food, right?
Yeah.
But as an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid whose metabolism is pretty high, we got to push those limits. We've got to eat. So actually, we're trying to do that, reduce cardio a little bit, and just add more strength training.
Yeah.
He's getting stronger. He's PR'd almost all of his lifts, and he's putting on some mass. But it takes some time. I mean, he's 18 or 19.
Yeah.
Keep doing that for years, and he's going to be, by the time he's 25 or 30 years old, good size on him.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So the kids just got to eat. They need to learn how to lift and lift heavy. They need a coach to teach them how to lift. All right. From our experience, at least in our area, high school kids coming in are good athletes in their sports, not strong whatsoever. It kind of blows my mind. Their potential could be so much higher if they were stronger and knew how to move a little bit better.
Yeah.
I just watch them. I'm like, man, how did this athlete not get hurt in their sport? It's a miracle.
Yeah.
And it's nothing that they're doing that's wrong. It's just that they've never been taught in the right way.
Right. Yeah. They have no idea.
And I'm not trying to put any blame on the local high school coaches and things like that, because maybe they don't know.
They just don't know.
They teach the sport, right? We teach weightlifting and how to get stronger. Yeah. And these kids could be so much better.
Yeah. There's no question about it. And you can see that form is so important, nutrition and form in weightlifting. We've got a weightlifter in here that, he's 42 years old and dropped under 540 pounds for a set of 5, full range of motion, hip crease, below no crease, knee crease all the way up. And most high school athletes or most high school coaches would never understand how to correct that form, get an athlete that's 42, let alone 17, to move that amount of weight. You know what I mean? So it's so important to have
and how
somebody
many
there
high schools
coaching
have a strength and conditioning coach?
None. No, I mean, I don't get none really. They just draw from whatever they've done and from experience and put it
something
on these
they
kids.
did when they played football 30 years ago.
Yeah, which isn't probably relevant anymore.
Everything's progressed so much farther than that.
Dude, I was going to say something but it'll probably come back to me.
We need to
That's okay. Yeah, I know. We should have brought notepads along, right? So we've talked about that junior high and high school athlete. What do we need to do? We need to eat more quality foods. And then if we can't get it all in, right? If supplementation.
Yeah.
Right.
So this same client I just talked to you about, because he has so much food to eat, there are things out there, even when I did it too, when I was putting on weight, there's at GNC, there's a mass gainer where you do a shake. It has 50 grams of protein, 100 some carbs. And so there's a lot of calories in there. You can get in just a little shake, which it makes it easier to get that amount of food in. So maybe that is necessary if weight gain is the goal to do that. But some other supplementation would be, one of the most common is just protein shakes, right? It is a good way to get more protein in the diet. Through experience, people just are lacking getting enough protein in. That should be out of the macronutrients, the proteins, carbs, and fats. The protein should be the one that we are focusing on the most. Yeah. It helps. It's necessary for the survival of our life. And it helps build muscle. It tastes good. Yeah. And so if you're going to focus on anything, focus on the protein. And if you need to get more protein in, at one shake a day is really all you should need. Yeah. If you're doing more than that,
you're not supplementing. Then you're replacing.
Yeah. I mean,
and what we're trying to do.
Yeah,
is
exactly. Right.
Yeah.
We want to look to get more whole foods in. Yep. In that respect, if you need to get more than one shake in the beginning to start getting the ball rolling that way, that's good. But let's not get
let's not replace the shake for actually good solid food protein.
These meal replacement things, they drive me nuts because they don't teach people how to actually be in the kitchen, cook their own food, and develop a lifestyle that is sustainable. Yeah. If the easy thing is to do, go spend $5 or $7, which is mind-boggling on a meal replacement shake that is 200 to 300 calories, which isn't a lot, versus taking the time to actually grocery shop, eat good food in your house, build good habits that way. Yep. And if you have a family,
save money.
Yeah, and you'll save money, right? And if you have a family, you're teaching your kids how to actually do these things.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
They're watching. They're always watching.
Exactly.
So they're going to do what you do. And if they see you always going to the fast food chains or these other places, like they're gonna.
That's what they're gonna do.
Yeah. So do better by your kids. Yeah. And that starts with making your own choices, making better choices.
Exactly.
So the protein shake is a good thing. They're not all created equal. I mean, all of them are going to market, hey, we got the best, cleanest protein. They're all pretty much the same thing. Yeah. Some do have more carbohydrate, higher content in there. So you want to maybe just take a look at that. Look at the ingredient list. If it's this long, probably want to avoid that one. Yeah. All right. The more processed, we don't know what's really going in there. Try to find ones that are like seven ingredients or less. They're out there. I can even post a link to ones that are reputable and good.
That'd be great.
And you want to find ones that you actually like the taste of. Most people say, "Oh, it tastes like shit," but no, it's not that bad.
Right.
There are plenty out there that taste pretty good.
Yeah, agreed.
Another supplement, creatine.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Outside of whey protein, creatine is one of the most researched supplements out there. One of the safest, actually. Our body naturally produces creatine, and so to take creatine, not a bad idea. Again, it's not that magic pill like everybody's trying to find. It's nothing magical. It can help with muscle building long term. 5 grams a day is really all you would ever need. Very small. And what you can expect with that if you start taking it is maybe the scale weight is going to go up a little bit because you will retain a little bit more water. Yeah. And through experience, I took some creatine in college. And once I stopped taking it, boom, lost all that weight, lost a little bit of strength too. Like it does help. It will help. And if you're going to be lifting weights long term, you probably should do it. I mean, I don't personally do it, but I'm not a big supplement guy. Just whey protein is really all I do.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Well, so I heard in college we talked about this. If your body produces enough creatine naturally, then you don't get it from supplementing. You'll just
because you can get it through foods, like you can get it through animal proteins and things like that. But again, if your diet is lacking in those things, we should probably address that first versus just going to these supplements.
Right. Yeah. So your body won't naturally produce enough. Not necessarily enough, but
I mean that kind of depends. It only produces maybe 1 to 2 grams a day.
Oh, okay.
But again, at most you're looking just 5 grams a day is the recommended dosage.
Yep.
But there's really no
excrete the rest. So if you take too much, you're just wasting money.
Yeah, pretty much. I think another question in there was like fish oil. What about fish oil? I think it can be beneficial for just managing inflammation and cardiovascular health. There's plenty of research out there that supports that. Some things that maybe weren't mentioned, but I think are really critical and important that really get overlooked a lot are the vitamins side of things. So like vitamin B, vitamin D. You know, we live in Ohio where vitamin D, like getting enough sunlight, is very difficult, especially in the winter months.
That's right. For 6 months out of the year.
You know, so you know, the only way you would know if those are actually low or where they're at is you have to have your blood tested. And so I had my blood tested several months ago, was on the lower end of vitamin B and vitamin D. So the nurse practitioner recommended supplementing that on a daily basis, and then also doing a probiotic for gut health. So I started doing that, but prior to that, you know, people probably should start taking those, but you're kind of guessing. Get that blood work done so you actually have some real data to work with to know that, okay, I'm taking this because I'm actually deficient in these things. And there is research out there that shows like deficiency in those kind of minerals, vitamins and minerals, can lead to, you know, development of like anxiety and depression and things like that. So, and we supplement with those things versus kind of going to the doctor and taking a prescription for antidepressants and things like that. Food can be medicine. It just, people got to make those better choices, right?
Just like exercise can be medicine, right? I'm glad you brought that, getting your blood work and getting that tested. We're going to work with Dr. Libby Wilson in January. She's going to come and do a Saturday here where she's going to speak about her functional medicine practice.
Great,
right? So
that's awesome.
Dr. Wilson is walking away from a 2,500 patient practice today in Springfield. January 1, she's turning it into a functional medicine where she's going to work one-on-one with athletes, right? She's got a CrossFit L1. So this is the kind of people that she wants to continue to work with. So I'm going to start in January with her as one of her patients. And the first thing she's going to do, and what we had talked about already, is she's going to check saliva. So she's going to test saliva, urine, stool, and then essentially blood.
Mm-hmm.
And she wants to understand how your body synthesizes the food that you eat.
Yep.
She wants to understand what your gut health is.
Yep.
One of her comments was, most of us have a gut problem, we don't even know about
Yep.
it. Right?
I mean, I do, for sure.
Yeah. So
I know about it, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Most
So
people don't know it.
she's going to go through each one of those phases. And this is not I'm going to show up for 10 minutes and have a conversation. She's going to throw a drug. We're going to have a conversation over the next 3, 6, or 9 months. And I signed up for the 9-month program to get healthy. And then once you get there, now you know how to maintain very similar nutrition.
Yeah.
Once we get over that 8-week, 3-month period, we know how to maintain that nutrition. Then you've got it. Only come back if you need a little help somewhere down the road.
Yeah,
you know?
that's really exciting to see.
Yep.
That is going to be coming. Is she going to be working in?
She's going to be working in here. Yeah.
Oh, out of this place too?
Yeah.
Or like in Salina? Or
Yeah. Yep. So
Okay.
the goal is for her to start to work with CrossFit gyms and other gyms in the area to say, hey, if you truly want to fix your health, doing diet is a part of it. Doing exercise is a part of it. But you also need the background that she has that says, okay, let's make sure that your body's digesting food properly.
Yeah.
You don't have a gut issue. Your lipid levels are where they need to be, because that will help us change everything else, diet and everything else you need. So her goal is to work with athletes. I think she wants to have maybe 40 to 50 athletes full time per month. And she wants to work with them. Either you can sign up for a 3, a 6, or a 9-month term.
Yeah, that's
right?
great.
And then she'll do video calls with you. And then, she wants to have hours. And our ultimate goal here is to have her in-house, whether it's once a week or once every other week, to see office people here at CrossFit. So her athletes would come here to see her, just like Maria would.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. And that's, I think, where there is this kind of shift in medicine from the traditional, healthcare to now this more functional approach.
Right.
And I think they both can still work together.
Yeah.
But the functional side is one. It's not really like insurance has a big role in the healthcare industry. So, but the functional medicine side is really a cash-based system. So we can, those doctors and nurse practitioners can work and be a little bit more flexible with what they do.
That's right.
Versus the traditional healthcare side. And my sister-in-law is kind of at that stage in her life, not to discuss her private life, but she is a pulmonary critical specialist. She works out of Dayton, has a really stressful, job, and is really just fed up with, she wants to help these people on such a different level, but doesn't have the resources to be able to do it, and has thought about this functional medicine approach. Yeah. And shifting her career to that, so she can have more of an impact with people.
It's more personal,
it's more personal, and it's really about getting to the root causes of why people are coming to see you to begin with, like versus just here's a pill, take this, see if you get better. Doesn't really solve the problem.
Right. And you see them the whole time, right? So if someone comes into like the hospital or whatever, it's just like you might have a different nurse every time you walk in there. So this way you're like you can much better
more
track
consistency.
of it.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
I think that's awesome. That's exciting for this area.
Yeah,
for
we're
someone
excited.
coming along like that.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. And there's some more questions we want to get to here.
Yeah, for sure.
Hydration. We hear this all the time. Coach Glassman has this, drink when thirsty. And please
Keep
do
it
that.
simple.
Just drink when thirsty.
Keep it simple.
Right.
Drink when thirsty. That's it. You don't need to do more than that. You get hydrated from also foods that we eat. So it's really rare that you're going to be super dehydrated.
Yep.
And there is such a thing as drinking too much water,
Yeah.
and that being harmful to you.
That's right.
There's plenty of studies out there that have looked at that. It's called hyponatremia, like marathon runners that are drinking too much water and actually die from drinking too much water.
That's right. Football
being
players overhydrated
overhydrated.
every
So
year.
like, don't overcomplicate it. Drink when thirsty. That's it. I'm drinking coffee. It's made with water. Like there's water in here. So like, I'm not saying I'm going to drink a bunch of coffee. I want to limit my caffeine intake too, but don't overcomplicate it. By any means.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons that came up, we work with a local wrestling team. We train all of the high school wrestlers, and they come over each week. Now they have to go in and they take a urine test, so they get tested based on their weight, number one, and how much hydration they have if they're being hydrated. That's a state rule now, right? So one of the things, like, we always have kids that fail the hydration test every week. And here's what happens, especially as they lead into a match.
Yeah.
They're reducing calorie intake so they can go from 109 pounds to 102 pounds.
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden, I stop eating food, and I stop the extra hydration that comes from food, right? The colon pulls that out of our food. And if I'm not eating, then I'm not getting that. Well, I'm drinking a lot of water. You're still not getting enough supplementation of hydration. That's why you're failing.
Yeah. I mean, wrestling is a unique, that's a unique thing. Like,
sure.
You have to go do some extremes to make weight.
Yeah.
The other alternative is just wrestle a little higher weight class.
That's right.
Don't be so restricted,
That's
right?
Yeah.
Eat more, put on mass, wrestle a little higher weight class. It's not, I know it's not that simple, but
much safer that way.
Yeah, probably.
Yep.
Especially for kids that are in high school and going through those extremes of weight loss and weight gain.
Yep.
But the hydration thing, just keep it simple. I mean, keep really with nutrition in general, just try to keep it as simple as you can. Don't complicate things.
That's the whole nutrition. Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Eat whole foods the majority of the time, making sure you're eating enough. And again, if you're not sure what you're doing, find a coach and work with a coach. Even if it's for just like 3 or 6 months, that's a short time period in your life that you can gain a lot of information from working with a coach.
That's right.
Don't look at it as I can't afford it. I'm pretty sure everybody can afford it. It's just a matter of, it needs to be a priority to you so that you put it first, because this is your life and your health. And if it's a genuine concern for you, then you'll find a way to pay for it. And you should respect that coach's time and pay for their time.
For sure.
That's a big thing too, prioritizing it. Because they say you can't afford it or something, but then they spend like $50 at the bar or something.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a lot of it is just priorities and what is the most important thing to you right now.
Right.
I mean, I understand it. People have families, they're busy. Everybody's busy. How do we manage that time a little better? Can we put ourselves maybe higher on the important list?
Our personal health a little bit.
Yeah. Exactly.
Agreed.
That's cool. What else, guys? I think there's this one thing it's like my views on cheat meals. I want to talk about that really quick.
Yeah.
And it kind of builds off what we started talking about in the beginning, was this mindset around food. And if you constantly view things as bad or cheat meals, right, I don't really recommend that. I mean, it's not a good place to be mentally for long-term success. There was a book that I was reading over the summer. It was called The Adrenal Thyroid Revolution. And that was me just kind of doing some more research on adrenal fatigue and thyroid issues. And in that book, there was a quote that said, "I don't believe in guilty pleasures because I don't believe in feeling guilty." And so I read that like a couple times, and I was like, how can I translate that over to the nutrition side of things? So I sat back and then I just said to myself, okay, I don't believe in cheat meals because I don't believe in cheating. And to me, that resonated quite a bit. And it wasn't meant to be taken like, okay, you have to be perfect with your diet. It's the mindset of viewing something as a cheat. And if you're going to view it as a cheat, that means it's something bad typically. And when it's something bad, that creates this emotional...
Get back to emotion. Right.
Yeah, emotional thing like, oh man, this is bad. And then that could lead to other, this snowball effect of, well, I've already done this bad thing. I'm going to continue to do these bad things. And then we end up way off course. And it's like, how do we get back? So I just don't view meals as cheat meals. I just view every meal like, this is what I'm eating. I'm choosing to eat this meal and I'm okay with it. So can I get to that mental space where I'm actually like, last night, Thanksgiving dinner, right? Everybody's around, like there's all this stuff out there. Oh my God, this is going to be hard. Well, it's one meal out of the out of the year.
True.
Right.
The holidays are tough, right? You're definitely surrounded by a lot more temptation. But if you view these things as really bad and put yourself in that mind space, to me, that's more of a concern than anything else. So like, I just loaded up my plate. I was hungry. I'm going to eat this stuff. I don't eat this all the time. Right. Like I don't eat mashed potatoes and, corn casseroles and all this other stuff. So I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Now, if you're always eating those things, then yeah, maybe
Right.
maybe we need to get
Yeah.
and look at that a little bit more.
Does that go back to what you had started the conversation out with when we talk about the macronutrients, right? So, hey, I'm going to have pizza. Okay, where does that pizza fit in your macronutrients for that day?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So adjust it then according to if you're going out with family and they want to go to the pizza joint, great, and you want to have a beer, awesome. Calculate that and what you've done
Yep.
the rest of that day,
Yeah.
or what you plan to do the rest of the evening, and make it work. Right?
That's exactly it, Matt.
Yeah.
Planning ahead. If I know, weekends are usually tougher because
Sure.
your schedule changes. You're a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
But people generally know what they're going to be doing, so you can plan ahead. Hey, we're going to this restaurant tonight.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to look ahead, look at the menu. I'm already going to plan my dinner.
Yeah.
And then put that in. Like I like to track in MyFitnessPal, so I put that in MyFitnessPal, and then all the rest of the day before that is going to be tailored to be able
That's
to
right.
fit that
Yeah.
meal in that social event in.
Yeah.
So it can be that easy. Does it take some work? Yeah, nothing is going to just
So
come.
does everything.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing is easy.
Right.
This takes work. Yeah, but once you continually do it, it just becomes. Yeah.
And you
second
quit
nature.
craving those like terrible foods, right? If you're
Yeah.
eating healthy all the time, you're not going to want to eat 4 pieces of pie after you just ate all this,
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
But,
I mean, if you don't want to do it, then it's
Yeah,
just like,
it's about habit changes over time
right.
and building. Not necessarily taking away things that you used to do, but can we implement new things that eventually replace the things
Right.
that you've been doing?
Yep.
That's the approach I like to take with a lot of people is what can we start adding in versus taking away stuff?
Yeah.
Because when you say, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, they're like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I want you to continue to do things you're doing, but can we add in these other things that over time hopefully replace the things that you've been doing that have gotten you to the point where you're now hiring your coach to change
help
things?
Well, you're human, right? So it just makes sense. Like a family gathering or whatever, like just because you throw one day away, it's just like, get back on track. You're not,
Yeah.
it's not the end of the world.
That's right.
It is not the end of the world. So long as you're really consistent the other 364 days of the
Right.
year, that one day is not going to be,
Anything.
not going to ruin anything. But if the other 364 days of the year are very similar to the day like we had, then yes, we need to work on that for sure.
Agreed. That's cool. This has been good. Yeah, good conversations. What else are we missing? We've talked about a ton of stuff. We talked about
There's so
supplementation.
much stuff with nutrition.
There's a lot.
We need to just do
So, like-
another podcast.
Yeah,
We probably could, but
I agree.
I think to maybe just kind of gear it up, maybe wrap it up a little bit, is
Yeah.
kind of hit home on some points that I think,
What are
if
takeaways?
anybody's going to listen to this podcast,
Yep.
if they want to fast forward to this part of the podcast and take away some stuff, these are the things that they should take away.
Right.
Is the difference between weight loss and weight gain is total calories consumed. That matters really the most. The next kind of, in line there, the next most important thing is where those calories are coming from. Our macronutrients, our proteins, carbs, and fats. Carbs are not bad. Okay, fats are not bad. It's altogether collectively how much we're eating. Okay. Now, when it depends on somebody's activity level, how much are they working out, this and that. Should they be eating maybe less carbs and then maybe more fat, or maybe more carbs and less fat? Either way, those numbers adjusted should still come up to a total calorie amount for each person. So, like, if I'm going to eat 3,000 calories in a day, it could come from all fast food.
Right.
Or it could be the healthiest food ever.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, 3,000 calories is still 3,000 calories.
Yeah.
The makeup of that food from a long-term approach may affect my health. Right? I don't want to eat fast food every day and meet but you could still lose weight eating fast food.
Yeah.
It may not be as great as progress, and body composition may not change as much as you like,
Right.
because of the makeup of those
Calories.
foods,
Yep.
because they're going to be higher in carbohydrates and fats and just not great quality protein from
Right.
things like that. So if you're looking at one thing, look at how much you're eating on a daily basis. And through experience, people are, one, generally not eating enough, or they're just all over the place. One day eating 1,200 calories, the next eating 2,000, then 1,500, and then just like,
Yeah.
whoa, what's
Not
going on here?
consistent.
Why is this, why is this like this? What are you in a routine for yourself to be more consistent? Because if you're not, if you're kind of just winging your meals, I'm just going to, I'll just eat this today and then whatever.
Right.
So look at how much you're you're eating on a daily basis from a calorie standpoint.
Yep.
And while looking at that, see where those calories are coming from. How much protein are you eating on a daily basis? How much carbs are you eating? How much fat? Are those fluctuating a lot too? So where I come in as a coach would be like, we need to dial these things in a little bit more and be more consistent. And once we're consistent enough, all right, then we can start maybe adjusting and making some steps towards maybe weight loss. But in the beginning, for a lot of people, it's like weight loss isn't going to happen unless you dial this stuff in, because that's what matters most.
And weight loss doesn't mean eating less.
Right.
At first, no. Right. I mean, no, but people can eat more and lose, for sure.
That's right.
But a lot of other things go into that equation too. Bigger picture, don't get bogged down into the little details of, well, I need to eat this at this time in the day for this. Like, okay, you don't worry about the timing of everything. Worry about how much you're eating and where those foods are coming from.
Yeah.
That's dial those things in the most.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Prioritize your protein intake. If the macro people are one thing for me, it's like eat enough protein. A good like baseline place to be is like 0.8 grams per pound of body weight, up to maybe 1 gram per pound of body weight. It's not a perfect science, but it's a good place to start.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, that's a lot more protein than they're actually eating.
That's correct.
So they're like, oh my God, how am I gonna eat all this?
Yeah.
Well, eat more, man.
Yeah,
I mean, eat
right.
more of the things maybe that you're currently eating. So if you're having 1 or 2 eggs, maybe you have 3 or 4.
Right.
All right. Get a little bit more protein there.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with chicken. If you're having 3 or 4 ounces, have 5 or 6.
Have 2 chicken breasts
Yeah.
instead of 1. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no, set guideline. Just start eating
Just
more of
add
the
it in
things that you
gradually over
currently
time.
eat. Yep.
Or over the day, throughout the day.
Yeah. Like, don't get bogged down in the details of when to eat things, what supplements to be taking.
Yeah.
That's all like very minuscule stuff that doesn't have as big of an impact as just eating enough food and where the foods are coming from. Prioritize protein, you can't really go wrong. And then hit your calorie intake. And then finally, like, just keep pushing ahead. Yeah. Like, if you're not making the progress you thought you'd be making, just make an adjustment and then test it out again. But as long as you're consistent enough, you can actually say, I've been doing this for 2 weeks and I'm either seeing this kind of progress or I'm not. And then, okay, I'm going to change it up. I'm not going to quit altogether, because quitting should never be an option.
Right.
It should just be, I need to make an adjustment.
As long as you're trying and making adjustments, you're still on the right track.
Exactly. You're making more progress doing that than if you just quit altogether. And again, I think having a coach at those kinds of times where people have done it on their own and then just quit, where a coach would be like, no, you're actually making progress. Look at what you've been doing up to this point. Here, we just maybe need to change this a little bit. And that's where the coach is very valuable.
And that should fit really well from a CrossFit perspective. If you're already in a CrossFit gym and you have that mindset of, I'm going to this location because I'm coached through movement. I don't have to think about what I'm going to do that day because the coach is going to help me get through that. Then doesn't it make sense to be coached through your nutrition? Because it should be the same mindset, right?
Yeah.
Very similar.
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about. Like, it could get confusing, like, to eat more at first and then you could lose weight eating more. But, like, that's nothing that you have to worry about if you have a coach. Your coach is going to tell you all that stuff.
Yeah. If you're somebody who likes structure like that and likes being told what to do, then, a coach is probably really great for you to have. I try to find a balance of, I want the client to come up sometimes with their own solutions. Hey, what are some things that you can do, that you can start doing right now, and to making progress or steps towards the goals that you've indicated to me that you want to achieve. And that way, it's not me just saying you need to do this, this, and this, and then I'll kind of say, okay, that's great, let's do that, and maybe try and do this along with it if I feel that's necessary. So it's really letting the client take control of their own life and what's going on. But if there's somebody that's like, just tell me what to do, tell me what to eat, then I'll do that too. Like, I'm trying to meet them where they're at, but I want them to end up learning something in this process while they're with me, because after our relationship ends, I want to see that success maintained,
long-term sustainability.
I don't want them coming back to me 6 or 12 months from then saying I completely fell off. And then to me, I look at like, okay, what can we do different this time so that maybe we can get to stick? Because not everybody's perfect. Weight loss and then regaining it is the most common thing.
Right.
95% of people end up regaining back. So it's very hard to do, especially if you're on your own.
Yeah, definitely. And journal food, that was one of your
actionable
points.
steps. Like what can you do basically today or tomorrow to start moving in the right direction? You know, I think journaling, writing things down, or even just taking notes in your phone of things like, okay, what are your goals? Why is that your goal? Get to your why. I want to lose weight. Why do I want to lose weight? I want to lose weight so I can feel better. Why do you want to feel better? Because that indicates that you don't feel great.
Yeah.
Okay. So keep asking yourself why, so you can really get to this real reason, and that's like a really big motivator or driver to get there. So journaling, writing those things down, and like putting them in front of you, like I actually said these things to myself. It becomes real, or share them with somebody. Then it becomes even more real, and the accountability to like stick to what you just put down there is like, okay, all right, now I'm accountable to somebody that saw these things, and these are pretty private things for me. But so I put myself in this little vulnerable situation that maybe I'll actually take a step forward and start doing something to get to where I want to get.
Well, now you're afraid of letting someone else down too, instead of yourself.
Yeah, and when you work with a coach, that's exactly what it is. It's that accountability that you're really paying for. I don't want to let my coach down.
Right.
I don't want to let myself down. So that journaling can really be a big step towards figuring out your whys, maybe your fears as to why you haven't done something yet.
Yep.
And then the power that's in that is kind of, I don't know, unmatched with anything else.
Yep.
So, and you can use that journal to start taking some action right away. Like the biggest thing is like I was on a webinar with D. Caju, who's the owner of Working Against Gravity. And I listened to their podcast, the WAG podcast, really great to listen to. It's very good from a nutrition standpoint, very short, like 30, 35 minutes, very directed on a topic. And so you can take things away from that. So she's like, have the client come up with something and aim super low, like so low that you think it's too easy to do. Yeah. And that's where somebody should be starting, because that's going to start them actually doing it and sticking to it and having them do it for at least 2 weeks. So like if somebody says, I want to be in the gym 5 days a week, I'm like, that's great. Yeah. Let's start with like 2, because right now you're in there none. Yeah. So like 5 is like a great lofty goal. But when you don't get those 5 days, you feel like a failure, because so like, can we do 2 days a week? Like aim so low. Exactly. Aim so low that you feel like you can't fail at it. So that way you can start building some momentum and some confidence with yourself that you can do something. So when somebody says, I have this goal of losing 15 pounds, I'm like, let's lose 1 and build from there. I mean, it's pretty extreme, but.
So you're talking about scaling.
Yeah. Wow.
Don't we scale in CrossFit?
Yeah, I mean, scale. Like,
I want to be able to do a pull-up. Let's start you with ring rows.
Yeah, let's start with a ring row. Can you do that? I mean, it is that simple, right?
Right.
It's that basic. Get back to doing the basics, do them well, and build from there. And do it consistently enough so that way you can actually start to develop a habit with it. So aim super low. So that action you're going to take, whatever it is, you write it down or say it to yourself and be like, can I actually make it easier?
Yeah.
Just because it's easy doesn't mean it's not effective.
Yeah. That's great.
So
that's great advice.
Building off of that, find a routine for yourself. We talked about people not being consistent with their food. You know, our Monday through Fridays are pretty typical, right? We have a work schedule. We're in a pretty good routine. Routine is your enemy, is your friend. Like once you get outside that routine, that's where weekends people start to fall off. We need to find routines for us. So hey, I'm going to be at the gym these days, work out at these times, and get that routine of yourself for yourself, because that's how you're going to build some momentum and some success there. I would say the next thing would be, if you want to take a step further, track your food. Use MyFitnessPal. Actually see how much you're eating or not eating, for that matter. You might be thinking you're eating a ton, but when you're tracking, try to track everything. Don't be like, well, I had a little bit of chips at work. They were just out, and I'm not going to track that because it doesn't matter. Well, don't lie to yourself. That stuff matters, because you're probably doing that a lot more often than you think.
Yeah, do it a couple of times and all of a sudden.
Track everything that goes into your pie hole, really. I mean, drinks, food, whatever it is, and get a baseline of where you're at, because that's a good place to just say, okay, now I can actually see what I'm doing and maybe make an adjustment going forward. And then the last thing would be just hire a coach. I mean, that's kind of been the theme of this whole thing, and that's not the point. It's to like try to sell me or anybody. I mean, work with somebody that you trust and will help guide you. I mean, that's what people need, and that accountability. Be like, you told me you wanted to have these goals or achieve these goals, but your actions are not lining up with this. So a good coach might call you out, but also help you implement a plan to get to those goals.
Mm-hmm. Did you have anything you wanted to finish with? Do you have any questions at the end? He answered about all the questions. Yeah. Nick, where do we find you?
Well, at CrossFit1808.com, we are on there. I need to update our website in terms of having like something specific for our nutrition services. Mm-hmm. But if on our program section, we see that we offer nutrition, and then you can reach out to me at Nick at CrossFit1808.com for my email. That's pretty much the best way. I'm on Instagram, messaging me there, pretty active there, and then just with CrossFit 1808, pretty active on our social media for the most part.
Awesome. Yeah. And we'll link your information once we release this podcast too.
So if anybody has like any questions they want to follow up with me on, you can put my email in there. They can email me. I would say I put my phone number in there, but no, we're not going to go that far.
Let's go.
My phone number's on the website. If you're doing enough digging, you can find my phone number on the website.
We'll go with email and go from there.
That's fine. But thanks for having me, guys. This has been
great. Thanks for coming. Yeah, this is awesome.
It's been good.
Yeah, nutrition is an ever-evolving thing, So I try to stay on top of it and do as much learning as possible to figure out what might be good for my clients going forward.
Yeah, and I know we're excited for the future. I think we're in the back of my mind. We're already thinking about what do we do for that next challenge,
another macro challenge.
Yep. But how do we keep it more long term? One of our coaches like, hey, it really takes 3 months to make a habit, right, or to create a habit, and so We've done a lot of challenges. This has been, I think, the most successful that we've done so far, but we've done nothing. It's all been short term, 6-8 weeks, a month, whatever. How about we try to do something more long term for our athletes? So I think that might be something we look into as we prepare for spring and summer. We hit that
summer
mid-January.
Let's summer body start right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's get it going.
Let's get it going and prepare for the future. So.
Yeah,
we appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
thanks for all your help.
Thanks, guys.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, O2.
Yeah, thanks, O2. What are we drinking? O2, Dave. Unsponsored.
Unsponsored.
Nice work.
Thanks,
guys.
Thanks, man.